there's a price to pay for the chips. So one of the things I want us to look at is this, right? So at the bottom, you see the company names, but right here, you're looking at the PE ratio. So the PE ratio is price to earnings, meaning you're paying $1 for this company's earnings. That's why it's called PE, price to earnings. You're paying $1 for, you're paying this much for $1 of the company's profit. So if a company have a 17 PE, you're paying $17 for $1 of the, you're paying $17 for $1 of their profit. Does that make sense? It don't. All right. It do? All right. Yep. So you're paying, so that's what the PEs mean. So like a company like NVIDIA, you're paying $34 for $1 of their profit, right? For a company like ARM, you're paying $80 for $1 of their profit. For a company like Broadcom, you're paying $25 for $1 of their profit. So this is truly how you can tell the more expensive stock from the cheaper stock based on PE ratio. Now, you can't compare none of these companies to Apple. You can't compare none of these companies to John Deere. You gotta compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Are we trapping? I wrote this down. This is real dope. All right, watch this. Go to the next slide right quick, to it. All right, so we got a couple things that happen. So AMD introduces AI chips for business laptops and desktops. So now they're gonna compete. First of all, I love this because her and NVIDIA CEO are first cousins. So that's cold-blooded. All right, he blowing her out the water, but they both billionaires. And they both are the number 1 and 2 companies in their industry. That's in their blood, right? But I already know Christmas at the house be crazy. Because it'll be crazy. It's going to be crazy when my cousin get his first million. I'll be like, so I got 200. But, because I like to beat him at everything we do. But he will not go down without a fight. And that competitiveness I know that's what's at the Christmas table. I know that when they talking and they like, yep, I'm blowing you out the water. She like, but I'm coming for you. And the one thing I do know, cuz ain't gonna never stop coming. So I gotta always be on my A game, because the minute I let him win, it's over with. Serious time. So, go to the next slide, Tootie. All right, so right now we have Joe Biden has distributed this money around. Altogether, I think it's 6-point-something billion he gonna put out there. 60 billion he gonna put out there, something like that. But he's distributing this money around so these companies can build these chip companies inside of America so they can stop being hostage to Taiwan, which is hostage to China, right? Because Taiwan broke away from China for freedom. China says, you got me messed up. And so America realizes, so that's why when China put 11 ships around Taiwan, talking about we practicing, I said, no, buddy. You gotta think about it. Taiwan makes 70% of all the chips made in the world. So if China overtakes Taiwan, that puts America and the rest of the world in China's what? Chokehold. We definitely don't want that. You think you don't like America now. You will hate us when China becomes another one. Because a country that's taken over, I remember we had this conversation, like, all we know is America as the big dog. We don't know America as the number 2 or number 3 country. And when a country takes over another country, then you got to think about that company putting sanctions on that country to keep that country from evolving. So if China puts America in a chokehold and start charging America for everything that they do, that is an America you 100% don't want to be in. It is an America that most people won't be used to. It's the America that we don't, it's the America before they signed the independence who was under the rule of the Redcoats. And so America realized that that chips are the way to go. They are the future. And if you give China that kind of access, you put yourself at a deficit. So now Taiwan Semiconductor got I think it's in Arizona, to approve of the first facility to build chips in America. Am I right, Casey? Is it Arizona? It's Arizona. And so America's now realizing, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump like that, and I think sometimes we get the message mixed up with our emotion, but he said something that was real dope that I liked. He said, if America keeps all of our work in other countries, sooner or later we'll be slaves to them. I was like, that orange face know a little something. And it's simply that. If America, you can import, export with China, but if you should never be a slave to China. And you become a slave to China when you do majority of your business in China, and then China says, nope, you can't do that over here no more. And if they cut that off, now you become you come in a drought, or they set the rules of engagement on you being able to get the work from them. Does that make sense? I would put it in street terms, but I want to respect my people in here. You feel me? So America now realizes that they need to make chips in America on American soil in order for them not to be slaves to whatever China. So if China says, we about to start shooting at Taiwan, America can say, I don't got to get in that. That's between y'all. Because I'm no longer hostage to them making 70% of the chips. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So I wrote something down that I want us to pay attention to. Since the AI boom, bubble, or hype, whatever you want to call it, the S&P has hit 22 all-time highs in 2024 alone. 22. It has added $10 trillion in market cap to the S&P 500 alone. All right. Also, in this was really good. During Q4, which is quarter four, which is October, November, December of 2023, 36% of the S&P mentioned AI. That was 180 companies. That was up from the 155 companies that talked about it in 2022, which is up from the 4 companies that talked about it in 2020. So in 2020, 4% of the S&P talked about AI. In 2022, 155 companies talked about AI. In 2023 Q4, 180 companies talked about adding AI. Did I paint the picture right there? So whether you call it a boom, whether you call it a bubble, or whether you call it hype, here's what we do know. At this point, it is a growing industry that is being adaptable in America. That industry, yes, it does have revenue. Yes, it is adding to the bottom line. But because the market is a forward-looking mechanism, it is also adding hype. Does that make sense? Because the market wants to have something to be optimistic about. And the market doesn't know how to gauge its optimism. Does that make sense? Let me make it make sense. The market doesn't know how to say this is enough hype, or we should add 10% of hype to it, or we should add 15% of hype to it. The market knows how to say, yep, that's what y'all doing AI. Let's just buy. It becomes a chain reaction. You bought, I'ma buy. He bought, I'ma buy. She bought, I'ma buy. She bought, I'ma buy. Somebody sit back and say, wait, we've been buying a little too much for the last 6-7 months. You know what? I'm about to sell $1 million. Oh, you just sold $1 million? I'm about to sell $1 million. I'm about to sell $1 million. I'm about to sell $1 million. So now you go from being everybody buying to now, oh, wow. Damn, Trap sold 100 million. I'm sure about to sell. Hey, Trap, why you sold 100 million? I don't know. George, why you sold 100 million? Because I saw Trap sell 100 million. Casey, why you sold 5 million? Well, I saw George and Trap sell 5 million. I sold 5 million too. Domino effect. The market doesn't know how to gauge. It does everything in bunches. It buys in bunches. It sells in bunches. That's why the market runs up fast and then the market falls fast. The market does not know how to move a quarter. Only move a quarter tank. You know, my gas at 3/4 of a tank. I can make it this far. No, the car about to be on E. Well, it's on E. I can go another 33 miles before it cash out. That was a Negro spiritual, huh? Ash, make sure you fill the car up. You hear me? You feel me? So the market doesn't know how to move. It doesn't know how to gauge how much optimism or pessimism in it. It just know how to keep moving until it hits a certain support or resistance. That makes a little more sense, right? So for us, we have to determine how to position ourselves to take advantage of the optimism and position ourselves in the pessimism. I hope we got that. We got to know how to take advantage, unlike Kathy Woods. Sitting on the sideline for 5 months while the market is running crazy, in my mind, is crazy. Not being fully invested makes more sense once you see the market going up like that. Being invested but not being fully invested is such a cool thing. Sitting on the sideline for 4 months, letting this pass by isn't the greatest thing. Having a little bit in it is cool, but when the market comes back down from $976 and it drops down to $765, that's a perfect time for you to do what? Just add a little more. That's what I did. I played the options game while the market was running because it wasn't the right time for me to do buy and holds. But when the market pulled back for 6 weeks straight, I pushed $200,000 over. I gave my daughter 75 bands. I took the other 125 and we just deployed it because I'm gonna take full advantage of it. Am I making sense?